All right, let's talk about something huge. The way we all find information online, the very foundation of how we discover things, it's changing in a way we haven't seen in like 20 years. The whole idea of just Googling it is, well, it's starting to fade. A new era is beginning. And this brings me to a pretty wild prediction from HubSpot's Asia Frost. She's saying that by 2028, most of the traffic from these new answer engines is going to come from ChatGPT. Think about that for a second. Google's 2-decade reign as the king of traffic, it could be over. This isn't just a small update, this is a seismic event.
So here's the bottom line. We're shifting from a world of search engines, where you get a long list of blue links, to a world of answer engines, which just give you the answer directly, all synthesized for you. And this isn't just some new feature. It's like the tectonic plates of the internet are shifting under our feet. It totally redefines what it means to be visible online.
So, what's causing this massive shift, right? It really boils down to two huge forces that are rewriting all the old rules of online discovery. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, you've got to understand them.
First up, believe it or not, Google is actually speeding this whole thing up. When their own AI-generated summaries pop up at the top of a search page, the click-through rate to actual websites gets cut in half. Yeah, you heard that right, a 50% drop. Google is keeping you on Google, and that's traffic that used to be yours.
And the second big force? It's us. It's how our behavior has completely changed. Think about how you look for things now. We use AI to do the first bit of research, then we're off to YouTube. We're checking reviews on sites like G2 and Capterra. We're scrolling through social media comments. By the time we actually land on a company's website, we're already super informed and pretty much ready to buy.
So, if all the old rules are broken, that leads to the biggest question for any business or creator online right now. How in the world do you win in this new era? If the old playbook's in the trash, what does the new one even look like?
Well, the answer is a whole new strategy. It's called Answer Engine Optimization, or AEO for short. You can basically think of it as the new SEO, but it's built from the ground up for an internet run by AI that gives direct answers. It is a completely different playbook.
Okay, so to really get AEO, you kind of have to learn to think like an AI. And the key concept here is something called query fan-out. When you ask an AI a big, broad question, it doesn't just look for one page. No, it breaks that question down into dozens of tiny, super specific sub-questions to piece together the best possible answer.
All right, keeping that query fan-out idea in your head, let's dive into the first pillar of the AEO playbook, content. And this is going to require a total shift in how you think about what you create. We're going from broad strokes to, surgical precision.
So here's the new rule. Stop publishing the ultimate guide to everything. Those days are done. AI can do that in a heartbeat. To win now, you need to publish the exact answer to the exact question your buyer is asking. Laser-focused. That's the game.
But, okay, that's the big challenge, isn't it? If you have to be so specific, how do you even begin to figure out which of the thousands of possible questions are the ones that actually matter to your business?
Well, HubSpot uses this really smart but simple grid system. Here's how it works. For each product, you map out your main customer types, your personas, across the top. Then you put the stages of their buying journey down the side, awareness, consideration, and so on. All you have to do is fill in the most important, high-intent questions for each person at each stage. And boom, that's your new content roadmap.
Okay, so now you know what to write about. Let's move on to pillar number 2. How you structure that content so an AI can actually find it and make sense of it. This is all about making your answers super easy for a machine to read.
And here is the single most important thing to remember. Answer engines are lazy readers. I love that description. They don't read your beautiful article from start to finish. Nope. They just scan for little chunks or passages that directly answer a question. You have to make your content ridiculously easy for them to scan. And that brings us to these 3 essential tactics. First, put the answer right at the top, the very first sentence. Second, make it lazy reader friendly. Use bullet points, headers, tables, anything that breaks up the text and makes it scannable. And third, and this is so important, tie every single point you make back to your product. Show the AI why you are the solution.
So, you've got the right content, and it's structured perfectly for a machine. That brings us to our third and final pillar, authority. How do you prove to an AI that you're a trustworthy source that it should actually quote?
In the old SEO world, it was all about backlinks. But here's the thing. Answer engines, they don't really care about backlinks anymore.
What they care about are brand mentions. Is your brand being talked about in a good way on places like Reddit, LinkedIn, and big review sites? That is the new currency of authority.
And building this new kind of authority is a really strategic game. First, you have to go find out what websites the AI is already citing for your most important questions. Step 2, get your brand mentioned positively in those exact sources. Do whatever it takes. And finally, go all in on review sites like G2 and Capterra, because AI trusts those platforms a lot.
All right, you've done the work. You've created the specific content, you've structured it for AI, you've built authority, but how do you know if any of it is actually working? That brings us to the last piece of the puzzle, measuring success with a whole new set of metrics.
Forget your old dashboard. You need a new search scorecard. We're talking about tracking things like AI visibility. What percentage of the time does your brand show up in answers? Then there's AI share of voice. How often are you recommended versus your competitors? AI citations. Is the AI using your site as a source? And the big one, AI referral demand. How many actual conversions are you getting from these AI recommendations? These are the new KPIs.
And listen, the results from this strategy can be absolutely staggering. Since HubSpot put their AEO playbook into action, the number of times their content gets cited by AI as a source has jumped by 433%. That is a massive, massive increase in authority.
And what does all that authority lead to? Well, that visibility has directly resulted in a nearly 2,000% increase in customer demand from these new channels. That's the proof right there. AEO leads to real, measurable growth.
So here's the big takeaway. This isn't some trend that's coming in the future. It's happening right now. The internet is literally being rebuilt as we speak, and it's being built around AI. So the only question you have to ask yourself is this: is your brand being built into its new foundation, or is it going to get left behind in the rubble of the old one?